Hello and welcome to episode 5 of our Break the Isolation webinar series. Today's topic is Teaching Speech and Drama with Vicki Clancy, and I'm your host, Andrew Raskins, Theory Specialist from the AMEB Federal Office. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and community. We pay our respects to them and their cultures and to elders both past, present and emerging. Thank you all for joining us today. Our webinar series aims to bring together all the different strands of our community, keep us connected and share creative ideas during these challenging times. Now, you can ask Vicki or myself questions or share ideas with the other participants via our live chat function. And we'll have a dedicated question time towards the end of this session in the last 5 or 10 minutes or so. And I would like to introduce our guest speaker today, Vicki Clancy. Vicki's an experienced teacher who has taught at large Sydney schools and teaches in her own busy private studio. She enjoys teaching students of all ages. Vicki also has extensive experience examining and adjudicating, and she is currently the Chief Examiner in Speech and Drama with AMEB New South Wales. She also writes all of our speech and drama exams, and that's primarily how I know Vicki, as I'm involved in the production of these papers. So welcome, Vicki.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you, Vicki. So look, my first question to you, and this is for the benefit of people who might not know about speech and drama, or that we offer a comprehensive set of speech and drama exams. And that question is, what is speech and drama? Can you put that in, can you just sort of summarize that briefly for me?
Speech and drama is effective speaking, performing, and communicating.
Right, and that's it?
Well, as a place, speech and drama is, I would say, a conducive hub for learning effective communication.
Right.
Unlocking the imagination for creative engagement with drama.
Yep.
And it's a place that inspires confidence.
Right. So can you also briefly just give us an outline of the sorts of materials that you're teaching your students?
The materials that I'm teaching, well, I use literature as a basis. I use a lot of text work,
yep.
But on the creative side, improvisation, interaction,
yep.
Learning a sense of relationship in a group dynamic,
yep.
Just learning to feel that students and young people can take their place in the wider world, really, is what it's all about.
Right. And I was just thinking about our speech exams, you know, from grades 1 to 7, and then the diploma exams. Those are structured in a number of sections. And I thought it might be good for you to just give a brief outline of the sections on those exams, because I think that could be useful to people who are approaching this for the first time.
All right. Well, if you're sort of coming from the theory side of things,
yeah.
And we have foundations, which is studying building blocks of language, which is phonetics and
yep.
building speech and word,
yep.
Text, interpretation,
yep.
Studying the history of theatre,
yep.
Studying communication skills and learning about communication skills in a theoretical sense and being able to write about them in exams.
Yep.
We offer diplomas in professional communication and teaching diplomas for speech and performance, as well as performance diplomas.
Right.
So we really enjoy that. And then we have exams that are group-based, such as voice and communication, that can be done individually or in groups.
Yep.
And drama and communication, which is now a multi-optional syllabus.
Yes.
That candidates can choose to present either an individual exam or in pairs or in large groups.
Right. So we're actually talking about quite a large body of things there. So just taking it back to your lessons,
Mm-hmm.
what would happen in a typical speech and drama lesson? Like, and also how long are your lessons?
Oh, Andrew, the lessons range different lengths of time. And you said, you know, what if you ask what is a typical speech and drama lesson, I'd be inclined to say that speech and drama lessons are given by creative, skilled teachers who have many different lesson plans and their own ideas about how to conduct and structure lessons. And
Right.
that includes timing as well. I think the very nature of speech and drama makes us proficient in tailoring lessons to the needs of our students. And that's something that we can do even within sort of an exam learning format. There's lots of options in the exams as well. If there were core lessons or core areas of lessons, I would say that encouraging the development of good language skills that are used freely and expressively, voice, helping students learn good interpersonal skills, as I've said before, so that they will be able to effectively communicate.
Yeah.
Verbal, non-verbal communication, active listening, and then drama develops the creative ideas and abilities of children through the collaborative process of discussion and brainstorming and making choices, negotiating, improvisation, just to then build to areas of play building and rehearsing an actual performance.
Right. So you're sort of saying that anything could happen in a speech and drama lesson.
I think that's the idea. I think spontaneity and flexibility, adaptability. I know the teachers are very adaptable, and that is how we nurture and get the most from our students.
Right. So just a general question then. So how long are your online lessons usually?
Oh, the online lessons? Well, if it's a group of up to 9, and I have had up to 9 young ones, that's 50 minutes.
50 minutes?
Yes, and I'm amazed that they have adjusted to being able to cope with that.
Yeah.
But there needs to be a lot of variety in the lesson too.
Yeah.
And I think too that something that I've noticed in lessons, and I'm noticing a little bit more online, believe it or not, that students sort of develop empathy in their work by being encouraged to have a deeper understanding of characters and situations that they encounter through exploration of a rich variety of literature and text. And they even enjoy being read to online.
Wow.
And then they enjoy reading. And I have also found that readers' theatre is something that works really well, by the way, in group lessons and those longer lessons, because they can all participate if they have the scripts which have been sent to them before the lesson.
Yeah.
The individual lessons, anything from 30 minutes to 40 minutes. So, I mean, it just depends on the age of the candidate or the student.
Right. You know, I'm certainly not a child, but I think I would find it quite inspiring to be read to online like that. So that definitely strikes a chord with me. So next question, how long have you been teaching online and how are you finding it?
Well, as far as teaching online regularly, you know, every day, a number of hours every day, I've only been doing that for 3 weeks.
Right. You're a newbie.
I'm a newbie. I thought at first, I'm not sure how this is going to work.
Yeah.
I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Great.
It's different. And I've found that the students enjoy it too. There are benefits. The group lessons, particularly, the dynamic is different. So I've noticed that a child who's very quiet in a regular lesson, when they're all in the room, a group are in the room, a child who's more withdrawn is far less inhibited online. They they forget, I suppose. They're in the safety of home.
Right.
And that's great. We're hearing their voice, and they're more forthcoming with their ideas. And I'm sure that teachers are making similar discoveries. It's different and it's new, but it can work.
Well, I was just thinking that, you know, when you've got, say, 9 kids in front of you, I imagine that a fair amount of your energy is going into just keeping them settled and keeping them focused. But in an online environment, I guess, you know, where they're all, you know, coming in, you know, they're on their own, I guess they don't have distractions, you know, and they don't have other things that can sort of undermine their focus or their attention.
Yes, but Andrew, don't forget they're at home and they can be distracted.
Oh yeah.
They can, you know, sort of have siblings or whatever coming in. But
Yeah.
as teachers are hosting the lessons, we can mute their mics.
Yeah.
I think that it's helpful for in groups to learn that they have to listen. And I also have this guy. And whenever this guy comes up, it just means, okay, well, everybody has to be quiet.
Right.
Or everybody has to stop swiveling on their chair. But I mean, I've had times when I've looked to one split screen, looked back and found that there's a dog's face there because the dog's walked into the room and they put the dog up there. It's
right.
And, you know, with the younger students, you can build on that and have fun. They've got tremendous number of props at home, more so than what they would normally have or have to bring to lessons. That we have dress up days, character days, hats. We've had a hat day. So, you know, they're all reasons to discuss and talk and give presentations. They can still perform. They can stand up and perform. I try to stand up sometime during the lesson because it helps me get the energy back. But online teaching is a little bit more demanding.
Yeah, of course, I know. I was just going to ask you about your own home studio, your setup at home. So just what platforms have you been using or accessories, and how are you finding them?
Okay, I use Zoom mostly. Teams is very good. Skype, obviously. OneNote is very good because that's a collaborative sort of program where you can share ideas and you know, write things to each other and include lesson material and so forth. And it is really important, I've noticed with the online teaching, to prepare them, tell them what's coming in the next lesson. And they're a little bit more engaged. If I start to give too lengthy an explanation or say this is what we're going to do, they're not engaged quickly enough. So I make sure that at the end of each lesson I say this is what we're going to do next time. That has helped. Just practical things. Students who are using an iPad, they will sometimes hold it and move, you know, and sometimes I get a bit dizzy trying to keep them in the frame. So a tripod is not something that I would expect every student to have. But just so long as they, as teachers, know that if they're using one, you know, a tripod or keeping that iPad still is really important. And because people next door chose to take trees down this morning, I mean, if there is background noise, or if you find that you don't want to perhaps speak quite so, speaking gets a little bit tiring. Headphones and you know, earplugs and so forth. You don't have to go to a sophisticated length. But if you're doing a lot of online teaching in a day, it can help to give one lesson using the earphones and the other lesson, the next lesson not. And apart from, you know, all the practical things that teachers already know, because I think we're a fairly energetic lot, just moving around between lessons and having a break, things like that is important. because
For
your
sure.
voice gets a little bit tired.
I can imagine, but these are all very useful things to know. Um, just a general question about preparation for online lessons. Do you find that you have to do more preparation or less preparation for online lessons as compared to in-person
Yeah,
lessons?
I probably do a little bit more because I've been talking about spontaneity and all those things, but I think I need to have structure within an online lesson because I can't leave and go and find a book or look up a reference or, go and get props or whatever. So I have to have everything ready. And that has something that I learned
Mm,
in these 3 weeks to be more organized and, as I say, to let them know what we're going to do. Now, that doesn't mean that we stick to it rigidly, but at least we have some sort of program that we know where we're all going. And
sure.
it's much easier, of course, in a one-on-one lesson. There's virtually
Mm,
no difference. And for senior students who are preparing for exams, or any students who are preparing for exams, it's just as usual.
yeah, yeah, right. That sort of leads me into the next question, which is about group lessons. So are you finding that group lessons are manageable online? And have you done, like, say, rehearsals or even a performance online? Have you crossed that line yet?
Yeah, I have. Uh,
Yeah,
I mentioned Reader's Theatre because that's a way of keeping everyone involved. But
yeah,
I have, because some are preparing exam work, said, well, we're going to listen to this particular one do their text or their poem or even a mime or a
right.
monologue, whatever. And it actually gives us an opportunity. I mute the mics of everyone else, and it gives us an opportunity to watch the action and listen and
Mm,
enjoy the performance in a slightly different way. They're
yeah,
so used to watching a screen, they're
yeah,
so used to watching television.
mm,
So it's not an unfamiliar sense that the candidate or the student, the other person doing the performance, isn't in the same room.
right.
It's also possible, but privacy is an issue too that always has to be considered. But more senior students can record and perhaps send in a performance prior to a lesson. But it is possible to have that same level of engagement and enjoyment watching
Mm,
them perform during that lesson time as well.
right, right. Um, have you encountered any problems in online teaching, any sort of substantial problems teaching online? And if so, how are you dealing with them?
I think I've covered most of them. I
Yeah, I
think,
think you have too.
I, I mean, silly things like, and this is one that annoys me, and they're sitting in mum or dad's sort of swivel desk chair or something like that, and
Yeah,
they discover that they can swing on it and swivel from side to side,
right.
actually keeping, and I'm not just going to say little ones, but even teenagers still, because as I say, they're in their environment and they like to fidget
Yeah,
and pick things up. But I think that probably happens in class anyway. But in class or in lessons, we seem to be separated, or there's more distance between us. We're around a room.
yeah,
There seems in online teaching, in a group particularly, we all, because we can see the split screen and we can see all the participants in the lesson,
yeah,
very close. And I think that interestingly enough sort of has a bit of an effect in that, people sort of turn away, they want to fidget, they want a bit more space than what they can see they have on their screen. But,
right.
I mean, they're only very small things. I haven't had a problem with any of the platforms that I've used. I'm learning as I go. There are very helpful people in, I'm going to mention speech and drama and speech, communication and performance and teachers associations in each state will no doubt help, and I know some already doing it, setting up collaborative episodes of training for teachers, and that's enormously helpful, and everyone benefits from that.
Yeah, right. So just I was just going to ask you about young students as compared to older students. Do you find that younger students are more tech savvy and therefore sort of more ready to just hop into an online environment, or do you find that sort of older students sort of need a bit more bolstering up? Is that something you've observed?
I don't think it's about the technology, Andrew. I think they're all pretty up on that. I think possibly older students, maybe, I'm talking about younger ones not being so self-conscious before, but perhaps some of the older ones need a little bit of bolstering up. And I think also that, one-on-one lessons really isn't a problem. Yeah. But they do enjoy the feedback, and I think they're taking it on board in a slightly different way. It means something more to them perhaps than hearing it in a lesson and coming back the next week and having the space in between. I don't know. It's just different, but it's working very well.
Right. I was just going to ask you before, are you getting students sending recordings of themselves to you for, to critique? And I was just thinking about voice and sort of acoustic properties of a room and things like that. I mean, are you able to assess those sorts of things in a recording, or do you have to sort of just factor in what you can factor in?
You have to factor in it's a given that it's not going to be as good.
No.
And that's what I have to accept, because I don't have wide knowledge of all these different ways of sort of improving sound, if you can. And they're often recording it on an iPad or whatever means, but it is something worth considering that if they're going to do that, older students need to be aware that they use a platform that's secure if they're sending any material. And I've only had 2 actually students who have done that.
Yes.
But there are certainly privacy issues that we as teachers have to be very aware of.
Right.
Well, we can't just encourage young students to record and to send material.
Yeah, of course.
That's an area that is dealt with in schools. They have strict privacy issues, but I think as independent teachers, we also have to be aware of that.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm sure that a lot of teachers have already sort of had to cross that Rubicon.
I think so.
Yeah. Look, just lastly with my questions here, I just wanted to briefly talk about the speech and drama online, the online exams. When I started in the AMEB federal office, which was about 10 years ago, we'd only just started talking about developing online exams for theory of music. And that was a very long and arduous process to make that happen. We were really pushing the boat out into uncharted waters, but we've been able to do it, and it's been very successful. And now, like 2/3 or more of our theory exams are happening online. Now, what most people don't know is that we've been doing the same thing with speech and drama. And I know that you've been instrumental in developing our online theory exams. I wondered if you just wanted to say a few things about how that has been and when we might be seeing these things become available.
I'm not in charge of the end product.
Yeah.
But I believe very soon.
Very soon.
Very soon. And the first grade that will go online will be grade 7.
Right, yes.
And that is a prerequisite grade, and that is the reason it's going to go online, because it will be an advantage for candidates to be able to do a grade 7 exam throughout the year, not just wait until
August.
what they have to do now.
Yeah, right.
The other exam grades will follow after that.
Yeah. I know that a lot of work has been done on this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it works. I think it's been an extraordinary process. I know that. All right, we've been getting a few questions about practical exams, speech and drama practical exams. We can't really sort of answer those questions here right now. I think if you want to know about speech and drama practical exams and whether you can still sit them, you're going to have to contact your state officers.
Right.
So give the requisite state office a call, and they'll be able to fill you in. All right, so I'm just going to pick up some of the questions that have floated in during our session. The first one is, do you find parents get more involved in online lessons?
Yes, sometimes they don't mean to. Some bring in food for the child. That's it. Yeah, they would normally get through a lesson without food, but they're
But do they bring in food for you though?
No food for me. But yes, the parents do, and I can tell because I'll ask a question, and you know, you'll see them look to the side thinking, you know, what's mum or dad going to think about this when I answer it?
Right.
So yes, I'm aware that they are often in the room. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, this is their opportunity to be engaged in this, not just to see performances or exam results at the end of the year or whatever. But I do. It's fallen away a little bit. They were very involved at first. They were involved in making sure, of course, that the technology was working and everyone knew where to, you know, mute their mic or their video or whatever. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. And I know a couple of parents sit right beside their individual, you know, one-on-one lessons. And they sit right beside. And you know, I think thoroughly enjoy every bit of it.
From my own teaching experience, I used to find that lessons where parents came along were really successful because the parents are there in a supportive capacity, but they're also taking plentiful notes about what needs to get practiced. So I used to find it very, very productive having parents there. Okay, another question.
It can be a little bit inhibiting in a class lesson though, to have parents, because don't forget we've again sort of got privacy issues, and so you know, but these particular online ones, they might send me emails that I may get to receive about suggestions and what I'm doing wrong. I don't know, but it's been good fun.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. A fairly general question: what are some of your do's and don'ts of teaching online? Have you already answered some of that?
I think I have. I hope I have.
Yeah.
The variety, being prepared, having all your tools of trade right here with you, moving around as much as possible, and that does mean standing up. And of course, you can put your computer, which I've done sometimes, on a shelf, and with a few heavy books underneath it, so that I can stand up and I can move back. There's lots. As soon as you do it, you just come up with more and more ideas. You become very inventive in ways of helping everybody and making the platform work for you.
That's it. I guess the essence of it is we all have to be adaptable. Here's an interesting one. In an online video lesson, the students can often see themselves on the screen. Do you find that impacts students' awareness of their own performances?
Not greatly, no. As I said before, I think they're used to screens. It's not something that they're unfamiliar with. I'm going to say that I don't very often have a mirror in my teaching studio for normal lessons.
Right.
Obviously, because too many like to look into it and
Yeah.
they like to see what they're doing, and that actually detracts from their performance. So,
Right.
no, I think they're they're comfortable. I haven't found that to be a problem.
No issues. Right. Another sort of fairly general question. So how many lessons do you do each day?
I did 4 this morning,
Mm-hmm.
and that will be it for today.
Right.
But they were 4 50-minute lessons.
Wow.
So I'm looking forward to this evening.
I bet you are.
But I think, again, if you and I didn't know all the students, I would say that half of them were new. They
Yeah.
were coming into a group situation where some of the students have been taught by me before.
Yeah.
And I suppose I had to spend time getting to know students and talking a lot.
Yeah.
But that's what I was able to do, but that's it for the day.
Right.
I really don't think we should overdo it. It is
Well, I think that's good advice. Good advice in general. You
Mm.
know, you have to always be aware of your own limits. But another interesting question: how have you adapted play building for online?
I'm going to go back to Reader's Theatre again.
Yeah.
And Reader's Theatre, it's not just Reader's Theatre texts. I actually will put poems that they're studying, maybe for exams, or, particular choices that one or two of the students have made, but not everyone in the group has made. But I will put that into some form of Reader's Theatre because it does keep everybody involved. Unison work doesn't work. Even I do it with warm-ups sometimes, but it's just a mess. So that doesn't help. It is possible to do improvisation. It's also possible to do story building by saying, I sort of ring a bell or tap, and it's on to the next person, onto the next screen, or I might call the name of the next person to take up the story or whatever it is that we're doing. That's one way of moving through everybody. Play building, I haven't done with any movement. I've only done it through storytelling and designating some students as main characters. And there's a theatre sports game called Typewriter where you might have a narrator narrating and designated students will be the character and improvise the dialogue. That sort of interaction works quite well.
That's fascinating. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's just you've got to sort of work it out as you go along, and I think that's the essence of it.
And one thing that I did find worked, I don't spend a lot of time doing warm-ups and vocal exercises with older students.
Yeah.
Because I tell them that they should do it for 5 minutes before we start the lesson. Because
Right.
I don't think that, doing that online, it's taking up time.
Yeah.
And as you say, the sound isn't brilliant, but I do feel that older students should be able to do that before. So that's something that has freed up a bit more time in lesson times.
Yeah, I can relate to that because I work with a lot of singers and adults. I just tell them to warm up before they get to the rehearsal.
Mm.
They know how their voice works. So I find that spending a lot of time doing warm ups with older singers is kind of it's a waste of time. Okay, I think that's about it, Vicki. A huge thank you to you for making yourself available and for your expertise. And a thank you also to our audience this afternoon, and thank you for your questions. Remember that we are here to help you during this crazy time, and our website ameb.edu.au /here to help has lots of useful resources for teachers, students, and parents to keep music and speech and drama alive during this time. So I recommend you go and have a look. Our next webinar is this Thursday, 16th of April at 1 p.m, and that's being hosted by my colleague Leah Phillips. She'll be talking to renowned Australian soprano Greta Bradman. Greta Bradman is the granddaughter of Sir Donald Bradman. And yes, she's a renowned soprano, but she's also a fully trained psychologist. So I'm sure she's going to have some very, very interesting things to say about that particular topic. So again, I recommend you register at the link in the chat now or visit our website for details, ameb.edu.au/break the isolation. So I hope you can join us then on Thursday. Thanks again to you, Vicki. And for me, your host, Andrew Raskins, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Vicki.